Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. This show is all about life transformations and our journey from where we were to why we are doing what we are doing today. We will discuss the hiccups, the roller coasters, and the blood, sweat, and tears that has been poured out while discovering our purpose. It is all about our transformations. Here is your host, Sean Douglas.
Hey, what's up, Life Transformation Radio listeners? Sean Douglas here, and boy, do I have a show for you today. It's going to be absolutely fun, absolutely amazing, and absolutely relevant for all you parents who don't like the virtual school. So here we go. Let's get into it. I am your host, Master Resilience Implementer, TEDx speaker, business positioning strategist, and international best-selling author, Sean Douglas. Life Transformation Radio is currently heard in over 90 countries. So whether it's your first time joining us or you've been listening to us for some time, I want to thank you to those who are listening from around the world. Life Transformation Radio is all about our transformation. Here is where we tell the stories of why we're doing what we're doing, highlighting those transformational moments that change our lives and how we use it to then transform others and elevate their lives as well. Now you can listen to Life Transformation Radio live every Tuesday through Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time by going to blogtalkradio.com/Life Transformation Radio. You can listen to us live Tuesday through Friday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You can also join our Facebook group at Life Transformation Radio Community and never miss an episode by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. You can listen to Life Transformation Radio on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spreaker, Spotify, Player FM, Radio Public, Himalaya, Google Podcasts, Pandora, wherever podcasts are available for Life Transformation Radio, and go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We're also available on YouTube, so please do the same. If you leave us a rating and review, that would be amazing so that we know what you think of the show and what do you think of our guests. On the show, my guests are entrepreneurs, speakers, business owners, coaches, podcasters, authors, amazing human beings who are impacting the world around them. And my guest today does exactly that. If you have any questions for any of the guests that I bring on the show, go ahead and give us a call. We will answer your question live at 657-383-1109. Again, the number is 657-383-1109. Or you can send me an email at Sean, S-E-A-N, at The Success Core, C-O-R-P-S, Sean at thesuccesscore.com. Send me your questions, and I will forward them on to the guests so that you can get your questions answered. Without further ado, my guest for today, Rebecah Freeling. Rebecca, welcome to Life Transformation Radio.
Thank you, Sean. It's awesome to be here.
I'm super excited to have you on the show. This kind of hits home for me because I am a parent, but I'm not only a parent, I'm a step parent.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, it gets kind of crazy at my house. They don't, it gets a little crazy sometimes. But, I was a child, so I think I have a great advantage because my mom and dad divorced. I got a step-parent who was very physically abusive and emotionally and verbally, mentally abusive to me, my mom, my sister. So then my mom got, another boyfriend and was going to get married again. I mean, it was just a cycle, right?
Oof,
and so I get it. Like I understand where the stepchildren are coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So
that's a hard place for everybody involved.
Right? Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, my wife is caught between, because my wife and I have two kids together. Right. So we're completely on the same page with like our two kids. Like we're just so in sync. Right. But it's sometimes we differ. I don't know. We just differ I'm like, no, I don't think that's right. No, they're going to do this. I'm like, ah. So it's almost like she retains that parental authority over the stepchildren, but not so much over our kids. That's what I feel like.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's like there's a history in that relationship that, and patterns in that relationship that don't necessarily change, but in a new relationship, you can create new patterns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And I feel like if I say something or do something or whatever, I'm the bad guy because, but our two kids we have together, I could say whatever, discipline, whatever, praise, whatever, and all of a sudden I'm like, but I do it the same for both. Like I don't differentiate between the kids. Like, they're all my kids.
Right.
In my mind. So I parent them the same. Right? But to see it that way, like, why are you picking on the other kids? What are you talking about?
Right. Yeah.
So it's a weird dynamic. It's a weird.
How old were your stepkids when they became your stepkids? You hearing me? Your sound went out completely. Hey, Sean? Hello? Hold on. I just cut out. His sound cut out. I tried to call in on the phone number. Try the phone number again.
Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please hold and you will be able to listen to the show. Unmuted.
Hello? 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 Hello?
Hello?
Hey, Rebecca. Hello? Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. We're going to talk about how to maintain your parental authority with behavior expert Rebecca Freeling. Rebecca Freeling, a child behavior expert specializing in kids with defiance and oppositional behavior, emotional volatility, aggression, and other problem behaviors, hears it over and over. Help. We've tried everything, and we don't know what else to do. Rebecca's clients reach out when they're at their wits with a background in education and more than 30 years with strong-willed, spirited kids. She helps parents transform kids' problem behavior quickly and sustainably so parents no longer need to continually reinvent their discipline strategies. And they no longer need to say, we've tried that, but it didn't work. Along with her coaching programs, Rebecca has developed the Agreement Game, a practical, step-by-step process for teaching cooperation and collaboration to strong-willed, spirited kids. She has also written a book, Your Rules Are Dumb: How to Maintain Your Parental Authority While Creating a Partnership with Your Spirited Child. Her website, Facebook, and LinkedIn link is right there in the show notes. Click on those. Send her a friend request on your favorite social media platform to let her know that you listened to this episode of Life Transformation Radio. Her website is wits, W-I-T-S, wits and parenting, witsandparenting.com. So, Rebecca, the first question that I have to ask, and I believe is the most important question you could ever ask yourself, why? Why do you do what you do? Hello, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? Rebecca, can you hear me?
Okay, how about now?
I can hear you.
Hey, how about
What
that?
happened?
I don't know. I had to sign on like a couple of times, and I think then the mic turned off. The last time I signed in somehow.
Oh my goodness. So you heard me read through your bio, right?
Yeah, I heard you do the bio, and then you asked the question about why, and I was starting to ask.
Why do you do what you do? Yep. Why do you do what you do?
Okay, so is that where we are?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. I do what I do because I've been really inspired by the strength of these kids who, won't take no for an answer, really stand for their ideals, whatever they are, whether it's I want another cookie or, I want people to stop hurting animals. And it has been such a gift for me to really get to know some of these kids. And, so I just really have wanted to help parents and teachers, really see the beauty and the strength and the potential in kids that a lot of people just kind of want to write off as brats or bad seeds,
Yep. Wow. Yeah, I've seen that before. In the military, they're like, oh, they're military brats. Military brats. I'm like, oh man, like they're not all bad kids.
No.
I think when you throw out the baby with the bathwater, I just don't think it's good.
Yeah, and that's what I saw. When I had a preschool for a number of years, and one of the most inspiring moments was when this little 4-year-old named Mark, I talk about him a little in the book too, he started, and he had been kicked out of, 2 or 3 other preschools. And, his grandma brought him in, and she's like, well, he hits kids, so I understand if you can't have him here. And I'm just like, gosh, if we kick somebody out of preschool, like, where are they supposed to go? And it really,
right.
One of his first things was he was running around outside, and he was all mad because we had rules, and he thought they were all dumb. And he went and threw himself behind a raspberry bush, and it was just such a symbol, I think, of what these kids do. They put up these barriers, and, and people don't know how to get through them and really connect with them. And that's what I want to teach people how to do. Like, how do we move those thorns out of the way so that we can really have a good working relationship together?
Right. No, that makes a whole lot of sense. I was saying before, like, virtual school has been tough on parents, been tough on kids.
Yeah.
I can't speak for the teachers. There's a lot of jokes going around like, oh, the teacher's just chilling at home watching Netflix,
No,
but
they're not.
It's got to be tough on everybody, I think.
Yeah. Everybody's having a really hard time with it. The relationships have shifted. Parents are having to take on the role of teacher when they have no training in that. They have no desire to be a teacher.
None. My wife hates it.
Yeah,
my wife absolutely hates it.
It's not, unless you've decided to homeschool your children, it's not a good thing to take on, because
homeschool parents are loving virtual school and COVID lockdowns because they're like, oh, we do this all the time. This is normal life for us.
Right. Got it.
What? Introverted? Yes. What? Lockdown? No restaurants? Awesome. Like, like kids, they're like, what? I get to stay home and play in my room all day? Sign me up.
Yeah, but they're having a lot of issues with, the social stuff, and some kids are having tantrums and throwing computers because, I have this 8-year-old child who is just like, this is not learning. This isn't education. And they're mad because they're not learning. They're mad because they see through, what's happening. And they're like, and this kid was like, I could teach myself better than this. So we just said, oh, okay, what do you want to do? And we designed a program. This kid he and his dad designed a program together where he feels like he's learning now. But it's not at all what we thought it was going to be. And that's the piece about, really bringing the kids in to create this partnership. If we just said, hey, you have to stay on your chair or you're not going to get this or that, like, well, he's not learning, and now he's mad all the time, and there goes the relationship.
Right. So what is a transformational moment that changed you and put you on the path to what you're doing today?
I think I had several of them as a young teacher, but I also had an aha moment when I was 10. And I was in 5th grade, and I finally had this teacher. Her name was Peggy Tripp, if she's out there somewhere. And I noticed she responded differently to each kid in the class. And she was the first teacher who really appreciated my cleverness, which my 4th grade teacher thought was smart aleckness. I'm not saying it wasn't, but I really felt appreciated by this teacher. And I'm like, oh, I want to do that. I want to be a teacher. And then when I started my school and I kept getting these parents calling me and saying, he's been kicked out of this school. She's not allowed to go to this school anymore. Can she come to your school? And I'm like, yeah, we're not kicking people out. But it was a lot of these moments of really coming up against my own limitations as how I perceived kids and how I thought they ought to be taught that helped make the transformation that I went through. Just be like, okay, there's nothing that I'm going to be able to get training in. I'm really just going to have to listen to these kids and believe them when they tell me what they want, and believe that they are really striving for something that's positive. They're not trying to hurt me. They're trying to have autonomy. They're trying to make an impact. They're trying to feel their power.
I love that. They're trying to feel their power. I love that. And we don't know the backgrounds of the kids that come through either.
Right.
You never know. You never know what kids go home to. Here in North Carolina, they have something called a backpack program. I mean, kids can take home backpacks of food because they found out that these kids' food only comes during the week at school lunch. They go home, and some of their families have no food at the house. Yeah. So they take home a backpack full of food that should last them 2 to 3 days.
That's great.
That's crazy. That is crazy to me. My kids complain that we don't have any food here, but we just went grocery shopping.
Right.
Like, what do you mean we don't have food? Like, look, I don't want that.
Yeah, what they need is you don't have any ho-hos.
Right. You didn't get any ice cream? No. No, we didn't get any ice cream. What do you want? But I'm hungry. Well, then eat a sandwich.
Right.
Eat a peanut butter and jelly. I don't want that. There's no food here. No. There's no ice cream here. Right?
Right. That's what
Literally, that was the conversation 3 days ago. 3 days ago, that was the conversation. I was like, what the? I'm going to tell you what. We just went grocery shopping, but I wanted ice cream. I don't care what you want. So, oh, man, it was crazy. So let's talk about how you elevate the world around you. I think this is a very, very emotional topic. I think that this is really relevant right now. Extremely relevant. Because a lot of parents are having some issues with their home life. And then they add in, oh, by the way, now I have school, right? Like, I'm not going to say like every, there's relationship rockiness, right? Not every relationship is amazing. And there could be disagreements, there could be fights, there could be some ugliness between spouses, but you add in the stress from either working at home or doing virtual school and the kids staying home 24/7.
Yeah.
That's a dynamic that you wish your kid would go to school before you hurt them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like metaphorically, you're like, I'm going to hurt you. Don't get out of my house. I'm going to hurt you. Right. And I talked to some parents like, I'm so sick of my kids. Like, and that's why they're like, yes, summer vacation's over. Please go back to school. Please go. Right. Because some kids, kids are handfuls. They just are. Especially with video game culture and them always being in the house. So, I want to talk about how to maintain your parental authority. How do you elevate the world around you?
Well, one of the things that I do is giving confidence to parents. And, when I work with parents one-on-one, we create strategies and we create I give people scripts. I give people, okay, here's your step-by-step. But it's often it's different. Most parents are not the same, right? So the one of the points of discouragement for parents is they'll read a blog or they'll read something and they'll say, oh, people said to do this. Oh, people said to give your kid a timeout. Okay, well, I tried to give my kid a timeout and he threw the timeout chair at me. That wasn't in the book.
Sorry.
And so it's like there's also another thing I do is this positive reframe, and that helps to really lift everybody. So, okay, this kid won't ever listen to me. Every time I tell her to do something, she says no. Every time I say no to her, she won't take no for an answer. I'm like, okay, well, is there anybody in world history that you admire who didn't take no for an answer? Oh, well, yeah, right? We can think of all kinds of people who didn't take no for an answer, and the world is better for it. And so reframing some of these things as positive qualities, and one of the things I tell parents is these are temperament traits. They're personality traits. These aren't character flaws. So if somebody really values autonomy, then the way forward is to create a partnership where I'm the leader as the parent, but my child is a partner in that, in the activities we go through in daily life. They're helping plan things. They're doing a lot of chores. We could talk for an hour just on chores. But it's really important.
Wait. Should kids get paid for chores?
No.
Yes. I hate that.
Nope, not at all.
Should kids get paid for watching or babysitting their own brothers or sisters?
Now that would depend.
No, I'm a no.
You're a
that's
no?
a hard no. That's a hard no for me. And for those reasons, I'm out. No, it's your freaking sibling, man. Like, I have a 14-year-old. She's like, well, I should get paid for babysitting. Cool, go babysit the neighbor's kid. Well, why can't I get paid for babysitting here? Because she's your sister, and she's 3. That's why. You know what I mean? Like, no, absolutely not. No.
Well, now,
so, anyway.
Now, that's a good point that would be negotiated. And the reason that I was like, is because you're probably talking about a teenager. And once you have somebody who's a teenager, you actually, through having a conversation, so she says, hey, I want to get paid for babysitting. You say, okay, let's talk then. Because if I hired a babysitter, here's what I would expect that babysitter to do. I would expect that babysitter to be entertaining this child or teaching this child something. We're not going to sit down and watch a video together. You're not going to talk to your friends while you're just making sure she doesn't die, right? So, okay, if you want a paid job. And this is why we don't pay for doing dishes. Nobody gets paid for doing dishes, right? Unless you're like in somebody's house for that purpose. Right. But babysitting is a job you can get paid for. So if you want to get paid for it, then I need to elevate your position to real babysitter, real childcare provider.
Right. Totally understand that. My whole position is that's your sibling. You should be doing that anyways because you love them. They are your flesh and blood. They are your sister or brother or whatever. Right? And even though you might not like them now, because siblings fight, whatever, I'm like, these are things that you should be doing with them. You should be loving them and treating them with respect and entertaining them and, whatever. Like this is a thing, I remember my older sister is 3 years older than me. I'm 3 years older than my younger sister. My sister was a senior. I was a freshman. I was a senior. She was a freshman. It's kind of how my mom planned things,
Oh, okay.
I remember being home because my parents are divorced and a lot of other tumultuous stuff with stepdads, and it was crazy life, crazy childhood. And I remember staying home, watching my younger sister with my older sister watching me, and but we made sure that all of our homework was done, whatever, partly because we would have gotten destroyed if we didn't.
Right.
We had to make sure the house was clean. We had to make sure that not only was the house clean, but this was done and this was done and this was done. Like we had a chore list. We didn't get paid for chores. It was like, do it or I'll beat you. That was my childhood. Do it or I'll beat you. Do it or I'll take all your toys away and throw them away. Which my mom actually one time trash bagged my entire room and threw all my stuff out, in the yard, like in trash bags. She's like, you can't take care of it in here. Maybe you'll take care of it out there. I'm like, what? And I literally had nothing in my room but like my furniture and a light bulb. She took everything off my dressers, all my books, like everything. I had furniture and a light bulb. So yeah, I'm not a big. If you want to make money, then go out and get a job. Go sell lemonade.
And
go walk the dog.
And that's something even little kids can do stuff like that. I was working with one kid who was stealing money from. He was just so obsessed with money. He'd steal money from his mom's purse. He'd steal money from his dad. He'd steal money. He'd just like anywhere he could go, he'd just get money. And what we ended up doing was helping him, because the first question was, can you help him not be so obsessed with money? I'm like, no, he's obsessed with what he's obsessed with, but we could help him start a business. We could help him learn how to make money. And so this little 5-year-old, like, okay, I want to make muffins. And so we sent him on, doing some market research. Okay, go to Starbucks and see how much they charge for their muffins, because he wanted to charge $10 a muffin. And I'm like, okay. Hey. So instead of saying, no, that's ridiculous, you don't know anything, you're just a kid, I said, well, go take a survey, go to 10 stores that sell muffins and see, and so then he's like, oh, okay, I can't sell muffins for $10, but I'm super cute and I'm a little kid, so I can probably overprice them a little bit and take them to my neighbors, And so it's like you work with those impulses, but yeah, you and I are totally on the same page with that, with the chores. It's like, no, that's not how you make money. That's just how you take care of your life. That's self-care.
Where did that come from? The love of money, obsession with money, whatever. Like, where did that come from? How is the mom and dad's relationship with money? Are they hoarders, spenders, savers?
Well, they were wealthy. The dad was an entrepreneur coach. Right. So, I don't know. Maybe the kid heard them talking about money a lot. Maybe he didn't. Sometimes kids present a thought or an obsession or something that everybody's like, I don't know how they came up with that. We've never seen a train in our life, and he's obsessed with trains. I don't know where he first heard about octopuses, but now it's all he can talk about.
Right.
And another kid in that same situation might not have been fazed by it at all.
Well, it's usually the kids that come from middle to low class family. They struggle. The kid's like 10 years old. I said, man, I'm not living like that. I got to make some money. Like usually the obsession of money comes from a lack of money, not a wealth of money. However, I will tell you that my relationship with money is a direct reflection of my mother's relationship with money. Because my mom was a saver. My mom spent $0. If she could do it for free, she'd do it for free. $0. I'm the opposite. I want to spend money to make money. As a matter of fact, I own a bunch of businesses. I will have a huge marketing budget because I want the ROI. And so I'm not afraid to spend money. My mom hates it. Oh my gosh, I can't believe how much money you spend. I'm like, yes, but you see how much money I make too. So it's like, what's the trade-off? I'll spend $1,000 to make $2,000, $3,000, $4,000.
Right.
All day. Like I'll spend $1 to make $2 all day long. All day long.
But you're not wasting. And maybe what you took from her is we don't waste things. We value the money.
Oh my God.
We don't waste it.
Okay. That is a huge. Okay. So yes, you nailed it. All my life was like, stop, you're going to waste it. I tell my kids the same thing. I tell, like, there'll be like a little bit of milk, like left in there, like left in the again, experience. This happened a couple of days ago. We went grocery shopping. Remember I told you we went grocery shopping. This is all like the same day. So we went grocery shopping, and there was like a little bit of milk left in the jug. And my daughter pops the top and goes to dump it out. I was like, whoa, what are you doing?
Whoa.
I'm dumping the milk out. Like, why? Well, because, like, there's only a little bit left. And I'm talking like a quarter of a cup, like a quarter of a glass, right? 8-ounce glass, there's probably 3 to 4 ounces in there, right? I'm like, why would you waste it? Just pour yourself a glass and that. She goes, I'm not going to mix the milks. I'm like, oh my God, what, you got this white milk and this white milk? Like, you can't, like, the same vitamin D milk. Like, it's the same milk. No, it's not. Okay, I don't know what you're not wasting my milk. She goes, well, then you drink it. Well, I don't want milk right now. She's like, well, then I'm dumping it out. Like, what? Because I got to make room in the fridge. Like, but you're going to waste it. My wife looks at me. She goes, you're going to waste 2 ounces of milk. You're going to freak out about 2 ounces of milk. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, you guys are wasting it. You're wasting milk. And then here's what I got the whole time. There's starving children all over the world who never get, like my mom said that all the time. Oh yeah, well, children in another country don't get the benefits that you get, and they're starving. Like, that's what I got, right?
Right.
So I never say that, but I'm like, the one time you're going to need milk to cook with, you're not going to have it. The one time that you're going to need it and not have it, you're going to remember this moment. My wife's thinking, whatever, it's 2 ounces of milk. Like, stop wasting it. Like, toilet paper. I'm like, you're wasting it. Paper towel. Like, I conserve things. Like, we don't use too much. We conserve. That's how I was raised. But money, my relationship with money is abundance. I have an abundance of everything.
Awesome.
But material things. I conserve material things. It's weird.
So you don't have 6 Ferraris parked in your garage?
Nope, absolutely not. Nope. I actually sold my truck to save money because I lived 3 miles away from my work. So I bought a bike and I just pedaled my butt to work.
Oh, nice.
I was like, I'm kind of getting a little chubby right now. Like, I kind of need to go exercise. Like, I just felt myself like, I'm losing my abs. I haven't worked out in a while, Yeah. And being in the military, you got to work out. So, yeah, I rode my bike to work like every day, to and from, like 3 miles one way. And I got in really great shape. And I sold my truck that had a $400 car payment attached to it. And I made $2,000 in the selling process. So, yeah, we had one vehicle, and I pedaled my bike to and from work.
That's great. Yeah, there's been a swing in these parenting methods, and we've sort of swung, I think, a little too far on the permissive end. And one of the things that happens with that is this sense of entitlement the kids have, and it's like, wow, where did you think that this stuff grows on trees? And one of the ways that I address that is, by really increasing the chores that kids do, but also having them go with you to the grocery store and you say, okay, here's $20 and your shopping list. And so they're buying, it's not like, oh, here's your allowance so you can learn how much toys cost. It's like, no, you're going to learn how much the real world costs and have this experience of, oh, I need to get 5 things, but they don't all fit into this $20. So what am I going to do? And kids that are really young can do things like that. And then they really start to have a different perspective on, how things got here and what the value is.
Mm-hmm. That's a good idea. Yep. So I have a 14 and 17-year-old. Well, he's 18 today, actually. February 18th Woo-hoo. Is his birthday.
All
and
right.
We haven't done, teenagers, we don't wash their clothes. Like we don't,
great.
No, we're not washing their clothes. The 6 and the
Nice.
3-year-old, absolutely will wash their clothes.
Mm-hmm.
But my 3-year-old does things without being told. If she sees that my wife and I are working on something, we're building a new entertainment center or TV stand. We're just building a farmhouse TV stand. And I was trying to screw stuff in, and she grabbed a screwdriver and just started randomly screwing in a screw. I was like, no, stop, no. And she just wants to jump in and help things. My other kids will watch people struggle. Like if I'm carrying something heavy down the stairs, they'll stand there and watch me. I'm like, don't worry, kids, watch me struggle. And they're like, well, you didn't ask for help. I'm like, oh my God. You can't offer help? Well, I didn't ask. I'm like, oh my God. But my 3 and 6-year-old, they'll jump in right away. They'll do stuff without asking, whatever. But my older kids, I'm like, oh my gosh, what is happening right now? So we don't wash our clothes at all. But it's just with the homeschool and the dynamics have changed. My theory on parenting is that we parents currently parent their kids according to the way they wish they were parented, not understanding why you got parented that way.
Right.
That's my theory. So if I don't like something my mom did, because I'm sure you've said it, I'm sure you've heard other people say it. Well, when I have kids, I will never do that to my kid. I'll never make my kid sit there until it's stone cold, food on their plate, 10 o'clock at night. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hated that as a kid. Like, well, you don't eat it now? You're not getting nothing else. You just sit there until it's gone. I'm like, no, literally, like, I'm not hungry anymore. Like, I'm not hungry anymore. I'm full.
Right.
No, you better eat all that food. You don't waste it. Right? My mom said, you don't waste it.
Don't waste your starving children.
I'm not wasting it. I'm not hungry no more. You gave me too much food. Right? But my mom would sit there and make us. I said at 10 o'clock at night once, I'm just staring at my plate. She goes, are you going to finish that? I'm like, no, it's cold. Well, you're going to sit there until all that food's gone. I've never done that to my kids. Never once.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't want no more. I'm like, well, then don't eat it. But they also understand if we get, because we ask them, like, how much do you want? Like, is that enough? Is that enough? We know how much to give them. As parents, you just know. And I'm like, are you sure? Because this seems like a lot. I'm giving you a lot. And so I'm like, well, let's just see if you eat all this. Then I'll give you more. Most of the time, they're pretty good about it. They'll eat almost all of it, whatever we give them. There's times, she's like, oh, my God, I want more. I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it. But I never made my kids do that. Never made my kids sit at the table by themselves. Like, you'll sit there till it's stone cold. They're like, Dad, I'm done. Like, you need to eat a little bit more. But I'm really full. I'll be like, look, eat like 2 more fries or take like 1 more bite. Because I want to make sure, right? Because I understand why my mom did those things, whatever. But I will never, I'm like, okay, you're done. Take care of your plate. Make sure but understand that since you're full and you didn't eat all your food, you're not going to get a snack in like 10 minutes. Like, I'm not playing that game. And of course, I try.
Yeah.
I don't give in. Most parents will give in. Oh, fine, whatever.
Yeah, or they get, parents can get themselves in this trap of being a short order cook. What do you want? I want a grilled cheese sandwich. They put it down. I don't want a grilled cheese sandwich. You said you want, what do we want? I want pancakes. Oh, I'll make you pancakes. No, I want a waffle. It's like, it's easy to get in that trap when you have a kid who's like, a really picky eater, or, just seeking for control and finding it that way. Parents get themselves into these traps that way sometimes.
Yep. Yeah, I 100%. So I'm kind of curious, what is the reason outside of trauma? Because there's tons of research studies on this. We all know why.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of trauma, why do kids become defiant? Why can't they listen to their parents? Again, outside of trauma, like there was a lot of relationship animosity between me and my mom because she put us in a situation where we were physically beaten. Like my mom, like badly, like 911 called, cops called, right?
Uh-huh.
So loving parents. Me and you, we're married. We have some young kids. Okay? Why can they not listen to their parents? So me and you, we're married. I'm the aggressive, like, no, you do this now, right? And you're like, no, stand by, right? Like, why do kids become defiant?
Some of it is there's a temperament trait. There's certain kids who just really value their own opinion. They really value control and autonomy. And so it's that kind of kid who will be really, really defiant with either extreme of parenting. Either, hey, honey, could you get your shoes on now? Do you want to get your shoes on now? I think we're going to go to the park. Let's get your shoes on. No, I'm not going to get my shoes on, and I'm just going to ignore you.
Right.
But then also It's like, hey, get your shoes. Turn that off right now. Turn off the TV. I'm just going to rip it out of your hand. I told you to get your shoes on. They're also really going to defy that because that's this direct confrontation that's taking their control. And so then it becomes a pattern. And if, like, when people call me when their kid is 3 years old, I'm like, oh, great, we're going to make really fast progress. If they wait till their kid's 12 or 13, it's like now we're embedded in this pattern
right.
of the kid's defiant, the parent punishes or gives up, the kid escalates, and then, so I think it has a whole lot to do with temperament, because kids in different, the same, you can have 4 kids in one family and they're all different, maybe only one of them.
My 3-year-old runs the show. Yeah, my 3-year-old runs the show.
Uh-huh.
Like she does. She runs the show. I'm not saying she runs me and the mom. I'm saying this is her house. This is her house. And it's oh my gosh. Hey, night time to go to bed. No. Like, oh girl, you and I are gonna have a coming to Jesus. Like I don't allow phones at my dinner table. No phones, no electronics, no nothing. And so 2 days ago, she's like, no, like, come eat now. And I remember the reinforcing of behavior. I remember watching that nanny show, and the child was always getting out of bed. And the mom sat in her room, and she was like, don't hit him. Don't say nothing. You put the kid in bed and say, stay, right? And the kid got out probably 10 or 12 times, and he'd start crying. You pick him up, you put him back in bed, stay, and then you sit back down in a chair in his room, and you do this as much times. And I'll do that, and I'm surprised. I'm like, I can't believe this stupid thing worked, right? Like, I don't want to smack the. Like, I don't want that to be like our first thing. Like, no, smack, right? Like, I want it to be like, sit down, sit down. Like, I would much rather like yell and scream and carry on than have to resort to like smacking their butt or something. It's just, I'm like, dude, just sit. Like, I'd rather just yell. It feels better for me. However, with that said, a couple days ago, she comes with her tablet. I'm like, no tablets at the table. And I pulled it, and she pulled away. She's like, no. I'm like, oh, girl, who are you talking to? Sit down. Boom, I pick her up, put her in the chair. She has her tablet. I said no, and I pushed the button and shut it off. And she got mad, and was screaming at me. I'm like, you are 3. Be quiet. Sit down. It's dinner time. And I tried to take the tablet, and we were like fighting for like 5 minutes. Well, I said, just let her have it. I'm like, no. The rule is no phones, no electronics, no nothing. You know, and then she gets up and walks away from the table and sat on the couch and played with her tablet. I'm like, she's 3. I was like, get over here and eat. Pick her up, put her down. No. And like threw the tablet. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, none of my other kids have done this. Like, this 3-year-old, man, she's a handful. And I just reinforce, like, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down. Like, I don't know what else to do.
And she engages in that interaction. I mean, and that's a beautiful example of this intense interaction that bothers you more than it bothers her. And, you know, so how I would change that is I would just have you get up from where you're sitting, not say a word, take the tablet and put it away. And then she's going to react.
Also scream.
She's going to scream. She's going to have a tantrum, all that, right? The first thing we would have done together is, you know, establish, okay, what's your response going to be to her tantrum? And it's going to be not engaging, right? And there's different ways to do that. But to deny her the fight is really an important step, so that she doesn't get a back and forth fight with you. She doesn't get, she yells, you yell, she yells, you yell. Because some kids, like when my mom yelled at me, it really hurt. You know, it really hurt my feelings. You know, but I've noticed that for some kids, it doesn't. I had a 7-year-old say, oh, and then I had this long, boring fight with my mom. And the mom had still not recovered from the fight.
Oh my God. Oh,
and so it's like their perspective on those interactions is different than yours. You think it's a fight. They're just like, yeah, Dad, let's go.
Yeah. Jeez. So before we close the show, here's what I want to do. You mentioned something in it, and it kind of brought something up for me. So 20-year military dude, hardcore. I just don't complain. What do you think about all these feelings that are involved now? That, to me, I'm like, oh my God, it's an excuse. You know, you said that hurt my feelings. And I'm not, because there's some things that people do that hurt my feelings too. And my wife, I tell her sometimes, I'm like, that really hurt me. I didn't like how you said that to me. And I always say that I feel like I'm being attacked right now. Like this is how I'm feeling. Because when I do that, I put more equity here instead of saying, well, you do this, and dropping her equity there. I would much rather give myself the equity and say, this is how I feel. And if she says, well, I don't care, then it's apparent that your person, your spouse, does not care about your feelings. And even in the moment, they might be upset. But it's like, well, I don't care. I'm like, you don't care how I feel? Like my feelings, you don't care. But like when kids are like, you know, she hurt my feelings. I'm like, dude, get over it. You're going to be I told my daughter, you're going to be let down a lot. My wife's like, shut up. I was like, no, seriously, these kids need to know. Like, you better get used to it because you're going to have a lot of hurt feelings in life. And she's like, you're not nice. I was just so fed up with that. She hurt my feelings. I'm like, I don't care about your feelings. Like, you're never going to see her again when you graduate high school because you're going to be so angry. You know, like, what do you think about all the feelings that kids have?
Well, I think that, you know, we do have an opportunity as parents to help them learn how to manage those feelings because they are going to come up. They're going to come up in board meetings. They're going to come up on first dates. They're going to come up on 50th wedding anniversaries. And it is good for us to give, you know, the kids the strategies. Here's what you do when somebody hurts your feelings. Do you just want to have a gripe session about it? Let's do that. You know, do you want to search for a solution? Let's do that. I do think there's, and this is sort of another one of these pendulum swings where parents are getting what I think is bad advice, which is if your child is acting out, they're really just expressing their hurt feelings. And if you give them a consequence, no matter how gentle the consequence, you are invalidating their feelings. And you first have to get to the bottom of how they're feeling in this moment before their behavior can change. And that's actually just simply not true for, especially for these really defiant kids. They catch on to that, and I've seen kids do this. They catch on to this game of feelings. Oh, well, I couldn't attend the Zoom because my teacher hurt my feelings. Oh, let's talk about your feelings. So now we're talking about your feelings for 20 minutes, and now you don't have to go to your Zoom class. And that doesn't mean we don't care. Like, I do care if your teacher said something to you that you interpreted as rude or actually was rude. We want to deal with that. So I don't want to just say, suck it up, 12-year-old, you're going to, you got to deal.
Suck it up, buttercup.
Because they also need to understand it's like, you don't just have to swallow all your pain, but you also don't get to use your pain to manipulate other people. And that's something that kids sometimes learn how to do when we really focus too much on that feelings and, you're not doing the dishwasher because you feel bad about something that happened today. Well, you know what? I feel bad about something that happened today too, and I made dinner. And this is what humans do. We do our work even if we feel bad. So we don't have to, be negative to the kid or disregard their feelings, but I think we can help them put the feelings in perspective.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea because it's just like, man, the things that I hear, I'm just like, why? Like, really, it bothered you that bad? Like, I don't know, man. I feel like my 14-year-old, she feels everything.
Yeah.
If something's upsetting or it's like and people are like, oh, it's just hormones. It's fine. It's just hormones. Like, she's got a lot of hormones because there was no way I was this way when I was a kid. Or even my two sisters I grew up with. There's no way they were as emotional as her. No way. And my mom laughs and she's like, oh, geez, you have no idea. She just, my wife or my mom just laughs at me and she's like, you are ridiculous. No, there's no way. But I just, man, even the military, like this with the military is like, when you said that, like that really hurt me. And I didn't appreciate the way that you used your tone, about this one thing. Like, really? Really? Like, you didn't appreciate how I addressed you. I outrank you. We're at war. Go do it now. It's pretty clear. He's like, well, it's nice if one kid was like, it'd be nice if like I was asking, hey, could you do this? Like, excuse me, the military is in the business of killing people and defending a whole country. I don't have time to be like, excuse me, can you take care of this for me? That'd be super. Like, no, go do this now because lives are at stake. You know what I mean? Like, there's no middle ground here. Like, the military's job is to defend an entire country and kill people who try to take it. Boom, done. Hey, you with the uniform, go do this. Like, that's what we do. And even now, I get like, man, you got to be a little bit nicer to the kids. I'm like, nice? Dude, it's the military. It's happening in the military, too.
Yeah, it's interesting. It would be cool if a kid could enter the military with having the experience of being able to say to somebody in a social situation or in a, kind of a normal situation, can we talk about our communication style? Can we talk about this? But then to also know the difference between the times when it's appropriate to do that and the times when you do just have to suck it up. If you enter the military, and I've, I've never been in the military, so I don't really know totally what I'm talking about, but I've heard enough about it that I would never want to enter it because I'd get my feelings hurt. But you kind of know that going in. And it's like, yeah, we're trying to change it, but you're exactly right. And my brother was in the military, and he kind of said this too. It's like, no, we kill people and break their stuff. We don't have a healing circle. That's not what the military is about. And I think if kids could have a perspective about when you talk about it and when you don't, that could help them in those kinds of situations. We don't ever want anybody to let themselves be abused repeatedly, to really be in abusive relationships. But if we characterize any kind of strictness as abuse, then kids don't know. Oh, you're abusing me. No, I'm your commander, and this is how we talk to each other because it's efficient, and maybe because I have a migraine and get out of my face. Like, that's the military.
Right. Right. Seriously. So what I like to do is, I like to close the show by saying, what is the message that you want to give to the listeners right now who may be struggling with virtual school, struggling as a parent, has a kid that says no, and they're aggressive towards them, and they're just like, why does my kid act like that? Because I'm sure parents are like, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the problem. Like, maybe I'm not a good mom or dad, or maybe you just don't understand that the kid does not know how to communicate to you the way that you want him to or her to. So just speak to the parents as we close the show.
So what I want to say to parents is, don't give up. And don't write the family off as like, oh, this is a mess. Oh, we just have to wait till they leave the house, which is something I hear a lot of parents say because it is so discouraging and it seems so endless. Prioritize. Here's one thing: prioritize the family life. This school year is this school year, and if the family falls apart, that's harder to recover from than if you miss learning this level of reading or this level of math. The family needs to come first. And if you need help, ask for it. Get help with solving the problems that are in front of you. And if there's any way to reframe what's happening, that's going to help with the positivity. You hear, oh, you just need to have a positive outlook and you need to be friendly and nice to your children. It's like, well, that's actually not humanly possible all the time.
Right.
But mentally, you can reframe this as, oh yeah, they're in a really difficult situation. I'm in a difficult situation, and we're fighting all the time. That means we don't know how to manage this difficult situation. And so we're both contributing to this. Take the blame out of it, unless you're blaming the situation. Okay, COVID is wrecking this. Great. Now it's COVID's fault. And so we have a shared obstacle. It's not me against you. And that's really, doing something like that is what can help the family come out of this even stronger than when they went in. If they really say, okay, what the problem we need to solve is our communication or our rules. How do we get through the day? How do I get you to do the stuff you're supposed to do? How do I do my stuff while you're doing your stuff? It gets really, it gets really complicated.
Right.
But
100%.
there is a way through. We can come through it better.
Right. I think that's great. Great message. If they want to know more of what you do with specializing in kids with defiance and oppositional behavior, emotional volatility, aggression, and child behavior problems, other than like diagnosing like ADD or ADHD, like not like clinical, but like just behavior stuff, where can they get a hold of you? Where do you want to direct their attention to?
I think the easiest place to direct your attention is witsandparenting.com. That's WITS, and parenting. And so named because many of the parents who call me say, "Oh, I'm at my wit's end. I don't know what to do." So when you're there, witsandparenting.com,
Nice.
there's a contact us form. We respond very quickly because we know when by the time people are contacting us, they've tried a lot of things and they're really ready for a solution. So we're right there.
Perfect. So, Rebecca, this has absolutely been a fascinating conversation. Thank you so much for being an amazing guest on Life Transformation Radio.
Well, I enjoyed it, and I hope you and your kids have a wonderful week together.
Oh, we definitely do most of the times, and I think that I like to step back when I'm parenting. I don't want to be in the moment, like in the moment to where I can't. Even if it's positive or negative, whatever, I want to take a step back and think through before, I engage, unless there's, safety issues. Like, oh, my gosh, she's going to fall off the table. Get her off the table. 3 or 5 on the table. Get off the table.
Right.
You know? But, if they ask me something, I'm like, is your room clean? Is this done? Is this done? Is this done? No. Then how are you rewarded? Why should I reward your behavior when you haven't done your simple chores? I'll do it after I get back. No, you won't, because it'll be dinner when you get back, and then it'll be dishes when you get back, and then it'll be movie time because we watch those movies after dinner. It's not going to happen. So, and I really want to take a step back and make sure I'm giving them all of the information so they can rationally internalize those decisions that I make. Because I would be like, well, why, Mom? Because I'm the mom and I said. Like, wow, you have no reason why. Awesome. And I said that one time when I was 14, 15 years old. I was in high school. I remember I was a freshman. I was like, oh, cool. So no rhyme or reason at all. You got it. Making stuff up. Boom. Smacked in the mouth.
Right. Instant
I questioned my mother. Instant smacked in the mouth. She goes, talk back one more time. I was asking a question, but okay. And I see how now it's talking back because you don't because I said, yes, Mom. And I tell my 14-year-old, I'm like, the only acceptable response right now is yes, Mom, or yes, Dad. That's it. But in your room, she's like, whatever. Because I'll go, but in your room, whatever. And my 6-year-old, man, she don't question. I don't give an inch. I don't give an inch. So, oh man, fascinating conversation. Rebecca, thank you so much for being an amazing guest on the show. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, it was my pleasure.
Life Transformation Radio listeners, Rebecca Freeling, absolutely amazing at what she does as a child behavior expert. Please consider reaching out to her. I'm sure she would love to field all of your questions about feelings and about everything else that your kid has going on. But seriously, check her out. Go to her website, witsandparenting.com. Click on the website, Facebook, LinkedIn, hyperlinks right there in the show notes. Go check her out on your favorite social media platform. With that, I close the show by saying live your brand. Find opportunities every day to live out the core values that you hold deep in your heart. And I call this living your brand. So until next episode, live an amazing life.